affair locked me in the bathroom and left a note for my husband after finding out about marriage. What have I done? My sisters have warned me severally not to join those online dating apps, but I never listened. I thought it would be the perfect place to go wild and have some fun, but trust me, guys, that fun cost me my whole marriage and self-respect. I hid the truth about my marriage from my Tinder date, so he decided to take revenge in his own way. He was completely ruthless, and I regret even knowing him. I don't get why he felt the need to do what he did. My husband just gave me the biggest embarrassment of my life yesterday, and it's all as a result of me cheating on him with someone I met on Tinder. He exposed me to my husband, and not just that, he locked me in the bathroom. I don't know how to say this because literally every second now, I'm closing my eyes as a result of the level of shame I feel. I never imagined that things would get out of hand like this. I didn't even think that anyone would find out I was cheating on my husband. But I had a very hard luck, and now the truth is out in the open. I'm here to let you all know about my ordeal, and just hope that someone who reads this would have an idea as to how I can save myself and my marriage. I'm desperate, so I have no shake, and I'm ready to come on here and get judged. My name is Serena, and I'm a 27-year-old dietitian. That's what I studied, but presently I own a clothing store because that's what I prefer doing with my time. I've been married for 4 years now to my childhood friend Benson. Benson is a surveyor, and he works at several construction sites. We've known each other all our lives, and with Benson just being 1 year older than me, we had a friendship for a very long time before we decided to get married 4 years ago. Now I know that you all would have several questions to ask me regarding my Tinder adventures and why I felt the need to cheat on my husband. So that's why I'm going to say everything just as it is. First of all, I didn't marry Benson for money, and I didn't cheat on him for money. I'm not that type of woman. I work hard enough for my own money, and so that has never been the case for me. I also never imagined that I would cheat on Benson. He's my childhood friend, and we know each other so well. That's one of the reasons I got married to him. I just felt like we complement each other enough to get married. But for the past 4 years, I've realized that our relationship as friends is far better than our marital relationship. In fact, I'll be completely honest here. I feel like our marital life is boring. I don't find it exciting or special, and it took me 4 years to realize that I wanted more. Benson and I are two busy people, so I don't have a problem with his work, because I'm also involved in a lot of work. I just want to clarify that work or money has nothing to do with it. What really happened is that I stopped liking the fact that my husband acted more like a friend than my husband. I'll get judged for saying this, but I'm here to express how I feel. Not even my sisters found my explanation worthy of being heard. Benson and I have been trying to have a child since the 2nd year of our marriage, but it never worked. We've been to the doctors, and they told us to keep trying. We finally got news 1.5 years ago, but I had a miscarriage. That was a very low time in our marriage, but we pushed through and decided to stop trying for children till we were completely ready for the unexpected events. I'm not going to come here and blame my miscarriage for my cheating because that would be unfair. It's already been over 1 year and I got over it, but I never got over the bland marriage I had. I just got tired of the whole thing and I started to get white cranky. I've only known one man intimately my entire life, and that's Benson. So I decided to see what it was like to be with other men. I felt kind of suffocated in the marriage, so I decided to take matters into my own hands. To say that I regret my actions is an understatement, because right now I am currently reaping what I have sowed. My Tinder date completely ruined my life, and I hate him so much. I just hated him and everything about him. I cannot believe that he did all the things he did to me. What business does he have with my husband, and why did he feel the need to leave a note for him? I just don't understand what gave him the audacity to act the way he did. My whole life is crumbling in pieces right now, and even though I'm to blame for a fair portion of what has happened to me, I also know that he has a lot of fault in everything too. Well, he had his reasons, but I don't find his reasons justified at all. I've been feeling tired in my marriage for a long time, but the decision to cheat came after a series of events. I made the decision on my own, but I never imagined using Tinder. I didn't even have the idea in my head, but things happened differently. I visited a friend of mine some months ago, and she asked me how my married life was going. I casually told her that I found marriage overrated and didn't like the concept of being tied to one person. She agreed with me immediately and told me that she also found marriage overrated. We started talking about different things, and sometime later, she told me about Tinder. At first, I made it clear that I had no plan of cheating on Benson, and if I ever wanted to, it wouldn't be on Tinder. It was a partial truth because I was already planning to cheat, but I just didn't know how to go about it. And I definitely didn't like the idea of using Tinder. But she told me to give it a try and promised me that I wouldn't regret my decision. I'd never used the app before, and I found the concept weird, so it really occupied my mind, and I spent a lot of hours thinking about it. I kept asking myself if it was worth it, and if it was a right decision to actually do it. After days of thinking to myself, I decided to speak to my sisters. I have 2 sisters, and they are practically my best friends. When I told them about my decision to join Tinder, they literally lost it. They couldn't understand why I wanted to ruin my marriage by cheating on my husband, but I tried to make them see things from my point of view. I told them I was tired, and I even lied that I was depressed. You see, this is one of the reasons I'm extremely ashamed of myself. It just became extremely obvious to me that I cheated deliberately and had everything planned out. That's why even after all that's happened, I never once told Benson it was a mistake because I know that will just be a big day lie. My sisters tried everything possible to make me have a change of mind, but I was adamant to whatever they said, because at that time, my mind was already made up. I know you all would say maybe I rushed into marrying Benson, right? But no, guys, absolutely not. In fact, I was the one that insisted on us getting married because I thought our friendship would be the same even after our marriage. But the reverse was the case. It wasn't how I wanted it to be. The whole thing of going out to explore my marriage overwhelmed me, and I became so desperate to do it. My sisters didn't stress further after hours of trying to convince me. All their warnings and prep talks all went on deaf ears. Now, I regret not listening to them. Maybe I should have consulted a therapist before making this mistake that is about to cost me my marriage. So guys, I went ahead and created a Tinder account despite all warnings. I hid my marital status and mentioned that I was single and at the same time searching. I did this so as to find a single guy as a match for me. Also, I went with an unrecognized name and also lied about a lot of things. It was more like an anonymous account. My first time using the Tinder app wasn't as I expected. Maybe it was because I was too desperate to find a single match. I got a lot of matches, but I didn't fancy those that were coming in because most of the men that were coming in were either married or middle-aged men looking for love and commitment. Of course, that was not what I wanted. I wanted to just explore and have fun with whomever suits my taste. So guys, a few days after, I finally got a match that suited my taste. We got matched and we started chatting. I made the first move and sent a message. Not long after, he replied and we got talking. We chatted for hours and talked about a lot of things like career, personal life, friends, and some stuff. In all our conversation, I didn't mention that I was married. Yes, I kept it a secret from him. By the way, his name is Mike. He is a 28-year-old businessman. To the best of my knowledge, Mike was single. His main aim of being on Tinder was to find love and commitment, but that wasn't the case for me. Maybe I did lead him on and also lied about my marital status. He was so upset that I kept that away from him, and he had the audacity to break the news to my husband himself. So Mike and I talked online for a few days before we finally decided to meet up physically. Due to the nature of our jobs, we didn't have time to meet up, and so it took us a couple of days before we finally met. We planned our meeting to be at a restaurant not too far from the town and also not a busy place so as to not encounter anyone that I know. It was on a Saturday afternoon and Benson wasn't around. He went out to meet up with a friend of his. Benson made my job easier that day by leaving the house so early because I didn't know what to tell him. So guys, Mike got to the restaurant before me. I didn't know about him, but I was excited and nervous at the same time then. Excited because I was finally doing what I wanted, and was nervous because I didn't know how it was going to turn out. A lot of thoughts kept running through my mind. I was literally shaking then, but I managed to compose myself. Of course, it wasn't my first time meeting up with someone on a date, but I was nervous because it was my first time going out with someone after getting married. I won't lie to you guys. I did feel a little bit of guilt, but I still did what I did. LOL. When I got to the restaurant, I took a very deep breath before I went inside. Mike texted me the corner he was seated in. He made a reservation just for the 2 of us to have lunch, so it wasn't hard for me to locate where he was. Mike looked more handsome than he was on his profile. I was happy I met who I was chatting with online. It was the same for Mike as well. He thought maybe I was one of those internet fraudsters. I didn't blame him because the type of information I uploaded on my profile would make anyone think that. I was a little bit shy talking with Mike because he was more than what I had expected. He was jovial and at the same time friendly to talk with. Guys, I honestly forgot that my wedding ring was still on my fingers. Mike saw it and asked if I was married. Immediately, I said no and told him it was a casual ring. From the look on his face, I knew that he wasn't buying it but didn't ask any questions. After that, Mike kept talking about how he hated women that cheated on their husbands and wouldn't like to associate with those kinds of ladies. He also talked about how his last relationship ended and how his girlfriend cheated on him and how he dealt with her after finding out about her infidelity. At that point, my heart raced so fast that I became uncomfortable. Mike noticed and asked if I was okay, but I told him I was okay. Of course I lied. Mike had no idea that I was exactly the type of lady he hated. To think I was even married and didn't tell him was what freaked me out. But I composed myself. I didn't plan on telling him, and I made sure that I hid it from him. But unfortunately, Mike found out and didn't take it with me. We eventually ate our lunch and left the restaurant after a few hours. He took me to see some nice places and also had ice cream at his favorite spot. Honestly speaking, guys, I had so much fun and felt loved again. We also booked a hotel that day and had a nice time. I felt no regrets and was very happy because I finally did all I wanted. Now, I regret everything I did and I wish I could turn back the hands of time. So guys, after that day, Mike and I became very close. We went on a lot of outings together. I enjoyed every bit of the time we spent together. At that time, I was finally getting myself back and also didn't feel any kind of remorse. I cared about my happiness and made sure to satisfy my urge. Benson didn't notice my infidelity. I snuck out on several weekends to meet Mike with different excuses. My sisters didn't know about it either. The last time they tried convincing me about having a change of mind went blank, and they didn't dare talk about it to me for the second time. I also warned them not to let my mom know about it, because if she had known then, she would have stopped me. My mom was my weak point, and so I didn't let her know. I reached out to my friend who suggested that I try the Tinder app. Let's not forget, guys, her name is Sarah. So I gave Sarah feedback about my date on Tinder and she was excited for me. I told her all that went down about my first date and how I hid my marital status from Mike. Sarah was puzzled and surprised. Yes, she was happy that I was finally getting myself back, but she didn't buy the idea of me lying about my marital status. Sarah advised me to come open about my marital status to Mike so as to not let things get complicated if eventually he finds out. I was adamant to it and told her that I wasn't ready to tell Mike. Sarah wasn't pleased with my decision but didn't stress the matter further. So guys, that was how I continued meeting up with Mike, thinking that I would be able to hide the truth from him. But unfortunately, I was caught and was served with the divorce papers. To top it up, I was humiliated in public. You all would be wondering how I was caught, right? Well, I will tell you everything that happened, from how Mike found out to how my husband also got to know about my infidelity. So guys, it was on a faithful Saturday. As usual, it was on a weekend. That Saturday, Benson and I both had a wedding to attend together, but I came up with the excuse of not feeling too well and needed to rest. He believed me, and so he went without me. I quickly texted Mike and gave out a location. It was a hotel, and I made sure it was somewhere within the town so as to return home quickly. Mike and I first had a couple of drinks before we headed to our hotel room. Spending time alone with Mike was everything. He knew what I wanted and also knew how to treat me with gifts and stuff. After a few minutes, I told Mike that I wanted to take a quick shower before we head out. I left Mike on the bed and went to the bathroom. So guys, that was when Mike found out that I was married. Apparently, I left my purse and phone unlocked on the side table beside the bed. Mike got hold of my phone and went through it. There, he saw how I saved my husband's name on my phone. To confirm this, he went through all my text messages with Benson. Mike didn't think twice before he got back at me for lying to him, even when he told me how he hated ladies that cheats. I didn't expect him to do what he did. Guys, Mike had the audacity to text my husband Benson through his phone. Yes, Mike copied Benson's number and sent him a text message, informing him that his wife is cheating on him with a guy he had met on the Tinder app. To crown it all, guys, Mike also sent Benson the location of where he could find me himself. To even back it up, Mike left a written note under my phone that was on the table for Benson to read. Before he left the hotel, Mike locked me up in the bathroom. I called out to his name, but all my shouts went on deaf ears. I got scared and sweated profusely. At that moment, I kept on praying to be rescued. I was in the bathroom for like an hour before it was opened. I thought it was Mike. Maybe he had finally decided to open the door and I was ready to yell at him. But to my greatest surprise, guys, the person that stood in front of me was no other person but my husband, Benson. I was so shocked that I didn't know what to say. I stuttered, trying to find something to say, but words failed me at that moment. Benson dragged me out from the bathroom and pinned me to the wall. My husband gave me a few slaps on my face before he threw me on the bed. Benson was disappointed in me and said all manner of awful things to me. It was at that point that I realized my mistake and knew that I had done a terrible thing. I fell to my knees and begged Benson, but he looked at me and walked away. Right now, guys, I'm at the verge of losing my marriage, guys. Please, I want you all to advise me on what to do to amend this costly mistake. What I did is wrong, and I'm ready to face any consequences, but I want to get back with my husband, Benson. It's been 2 weeks, and I haven't heard anything from Benson. The last time I saw him, he made it clear that he didn't want to have anything to do with me again. He also told me to sign the divorce papers, of which I'm yet to sign. My infidel partner has blocked me on the Tinder app and has also blocked my lines. Mike sure did me dirty by telling my husband about it. Benson's anger is justified. I shouldn't have cheated on him with a guy I met on a dating site, and I should have also told him about it myself, not Mike. Benson has gone ahead to inform my family members about my infidelity. My mom by now would be upset with me. I haven't seen my mom and sisters since Benson threw my things out of the house. Benson and I are in the process of getting a divorce. Please, guys, I would appreciate it if you all tell me what you think about this. Update. Hi, guys. I'm here to tell you all what happened. But before that, I would like to say that I have already signed the divorce papers and sent it back to Benson. It was a tough decision for me, but I had no option than to sign it. So guys, before I finally made the decision to sign the divorce papers, I thought of visiting my husband and begging him for forgiveness. But I was humiliated and sent out like I meant nothing to him. A few days ago, I went to the house to plead with him, but the gatekeeper told me Benson was at the office. Of course, he was supposed to be at the office at that time. It was a Monday morning. I went to his workplace and headed straight to his office. At that point, I didn't know what I was thinking. All I wanted was to beg him for forgiveness and see if we could come back together again. I regretted my mistake, and I was ready to take accountability for it. I didn't dare tell Benson that my infidelity was a mistake because I wanted it along. I wanted to have fun outside my marriage, but I didn't know that I was making a big mistake. A mistake that would cost me my marriage and friendship. I ruined the friendship Benson and I both shared for just a few minutes of pleasure. Honestly speaking, guys, I feel ashamed writing this right now. When I got into the office, Benson didn't think twice before he dragged me out and called out to the security to have me thrown out. All the staff and those that came to do one or two things saw the whole scenario. Soon afterwards, the news began flying. Even the neighbors also heard about it, and a few made side comments when I came to the house. Guys, to say I was humiliated is an understatement. I was very ashamed of myself, and I left the office in shame. So guys, I got home that day and cried my eyes out. It was at that moment that I made up my mind to sign the divorce papers. I signed it and sent it to Benson before he left work that day. Right now, as I'm writing this, I'm finally a divorced woman. My husband and I have gone our separate ways for the betterment of both of us. I hope someday he will heal from this and forgive me for this. It doesn't mean he should take me back as his wife, but at least forgive me and move on. I have forgiven myself, and am trying to move on as well. So guys, this is the end of my story.